Let me read this one about. It's I thought was pretty important too. Ralph S. Barnaby, captain in the U.S. Navy.
Let me just change.
Okay. As I entered the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia in the summer of 1974, I didn't realize I was about to meet one of the major players in aviation history of the United States. As a tour guide of the museum's aeronautical hall, this elderly gentleman in a snappy blue blazer drew my attention because of several questions I had about aviation history. I explained that I worked at the Naval Air Development Center in Warminster. He stared at me for a moment and then proudly stated that he had been the first commanding officer when they moved to Warminster from the Philadelphia Navy Yard. He explained that he headed a group of Navy aviators that were flying aircraft off of Navy flat tops that eventually became called aircraft carriers. That he started gliding at an early age, met and conversed with the Wright brothers and their father, and ended up breaking their world gliding record at Wellfleet in Cape Cod. That's still in the Guinness World of Records. Before joining the Navy. Now we were standing in his museum with a mock-up of the Wright brothers' bicycle shop at one end of the floor, and the other end was an ICBM that had circled the world. This man had seen it all unfold in his lifetime. As I listened in awe, I quickly invited him to tell his story at NADC, which he quickly agreed to. A few months later, he amazed the packed audience at NADC with his 1908 era stories about supporting the Wright brothers in their ongoing debate with the French about where powered flight began. After receiving the first soaring license in the country, signed by the Wright brothers, which is now proudly displayed in the Public Affairs Office at our center. His stories continued for several years while presenting the Ralph Barnaby Award to our best aviation project each year. He made international history by launching his glider from a rigid airship called Los Angeles in 1930. He received the Air Medal and a Legion of Merit from the Navy. He qualified for membership in Early Birds, a group of aviation giants, including General James Doolittle, General Billy Mitchell, founder of the U.S. Air Force, and Amelia Earhart.
Da da da.
Yeah. So just an amazing guy.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And you just met him at the.
By accident.
Right.
And I happened to talk to him about the ICBM, because I had done some work on the ICBM at one time.
Yeah.
At Burroughs Corporation. And here, he knew the whole early history of aviation, all the way through to going to the moon. I mean, he was talking to the Wright brothers, who flew in the first airplane.
Yeah.
And here he was alive, just as a tour guide.
Right.
At
humble,
Franklin Institute.
a humble tour guide at the Franklin Institute.
At Franklin Institute.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God.
Right.
I was in shock.
Yeah.
And the people at NADC were also meeting the first commanding officer of their laboratory.
Yeah.
No one had any idea who he was or anything about him until I brought him up there. And then it became a yearly thing, a special lecture that he would give, and they made the Ralph Barnaby Award, gave it to the best project we had going, and loved to hear his stories because he knew all these famous people and they knew him. He was president of the Early Birds, and Amelia Earhart was just one of the members.
Right.